Blessings, everyone. I'm going to do a reading for you today. My name is Sherry. I'm a Reiki Master Practitioner and an intuitive, and I'm doing this just from the goodness of my heart for myself and anyone who is interested in listening to possibly look at something from a new angle, learn something new, open your heart in a new way. And I include myself in that. So I'm going to be doing a reading from this Gita deck, which is the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, which is based on Hinduism. And I would preface this by saying that there are many avenues for us to learn, to heal, to evolve, to see from a different perspective, to unite. Of course, you can follow your own religious practices and your own spiritual beliefs, and you should do that. But people change and transform over time and see things in different ways. And sometimes having a fresh perspective, because many of the world religions really come down to the same basic principles, which is unity and harmony and kindness, forgiveness, compassion, sharing, and of course, always building better brotherhood and sisterhood in a better world. So I pulled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. I'll go through each of them individually and talk a little bit and see what channels and what I hear. And you should also do that on your own end. To move this because of the sun. And see what you hear as you are listening to this and see what comes up for you and maybe journal a little bit. None of us have the 100% correct perspective on anything. The whole point of anybody showing up during these trying times is to share what they're hearing, what they're feeling in their heart, what emotions they're going through, and their perspectives on unity, because isn't that what we're all trying to get to? A lot of us are living in fear, and it's causing us to fear each other. And there is a saying, the only thing that we need to fear is fear itself, because fear divides us and conquers us. So if you're open to listening to this today, I appreciate you being here. So my question was, what is happening right now? Why is it happening in the United States? And also it's affecting the whole world. And where are we moving with this? Where are we moving toward? So the first card I pulled is called, it says the burning fire. And on the back of the card, it talks about lust. One's pure consciousness is covered by the eternal enemy, lust, which takes many forms and burns like an insatiable fire. And I think that this card is explaining to us how we got to where we are, which is out of alignment, out of balance, out of sync with each other as human beings on the earth plane. There is a burning fire in each of us to reach for things outside of ourselves, to lust for things, power, fame, money, status, leadership, hierarchy, things that we think will fulfill us, things that we think will make our life better, but in truth are just diversions. So lust of all forms, greed, is really how we got to where we are, and I'm sure we can all apply that to what is going on in the United States government as well as other governments, that it has become about, your party, your politics, what you want to get out of it, how much money you're making from particular deals, etc., etc. Next is infamy. And when I saw this one, I immediately thought about a you-know-who, our leader, and how his pointed direction, if you look at these men, is, to harness other men that will get behind him. And, these are sacred drawings, and so I'm just reading into them. Obviously, they have their own spiritual meaning, and I do not mean to take away from that, but I'm reading it in context of the reading. That it's all about his direction, his focus, his revenge, his enemies, and he doesn't care if he becomes famous for doing evil or wrong acts. And let's see what the back says. If you abandon your duty, your true duty, which is to the Constitution, all will speak endlessly of your shameful deed, and for one who has been honored, dishonor is worse than death. So we're in a situation where lust and greed and wanting what we want and our name to be the top name, the top dog, the top word, with disrespect for all other people, all other walks of life that do not fall under what you believe and what you want. That is a setup for complete and utter failure. And the next card, which is grief, I think we all know what this card represents as far as what we have been seeing in our streets. People being arrested unjustly, people being harmed unjustly, and the rest of us grieving for it. The blessed Lord said, "You are mourning when there is no cause to lament, and yet you speak words that seem to be wise. The true wise lament neither for the living nor the dead." And I think the reference point there is that these people that are giving their lives, that are showing up to protest, that are losing their lives, that are getting injured, that are getting pepper sprayed, that are getting murdered, anybody that's showing up in any way is a spiritual warrior now. That's the true meaning of that word. They don't seem to go together, but there are times that spirituality does overlap with politics. Spirituality not only overlaps, but is intersected with every part of our life. I had somebody write on one of my recent posts that she thought I was spiritual and why was I talking about politics, and didn't I understand that another 9/11 could happen if they didn't go through with these raids, and that it mattered to her children, her grandchildren mattered to her so much that it didn't matter to her what else, was happening or how things were taken care of. Wow, I don't even know what to say to that, but the people who are the immigrants in this country are not terrorists. They are United States citizens in very varying levels of getting their full immigration status, United States citizenship. That does not make them terrorists. That does not make them all murderers and rapists and drug traffickers. And yes, that some of that is going on, and not all of those people are immigrants either. We are creating, these stories are being told to us and making us believe things that aren't true, so that we fear each other, so that we hate each other, so that we fight against each other. And it is causing a lot of grief and sorrow, but we need to look at the full picture of what is going on. We can't just believe what we are being told. We cannot just look at life through a state of fear, because none of us is ever truly protected. If somebody will come for one, they will come for you one day. They'll come for your organization. They'll come for your gender. They'll come for your culture, your religion. They'll come for your beliefs. The only chance we have is unity consciousness. And seeing that we all are on this planet, we all deserve to be here. We all have a role here to play. Yeah. The next card says friend or enemy, and I think that's pretty, look at all these people sitting in the background watching this fight go on. That feels to me like the people of other countries that are just thinking they cannot believe that this is happening in the United States of America, which has always stood for freedom and freedom of expression and freedom of movement. And here we are like prisoners in our own country, and it's building and building every day. But this is what happens when you have lust and you have greed and you have power, and people are willing to be infamous in order to get what they want. They're willing to cause grief and suffering and fighting, because when all of that is going on, they're behind the scenes building on these two things. They don't care about the little people. They don't care about the people who are suffering. They don't even care about their constituents who say crazy things like, I just want my grandchildren to be safe and I don't care who else suffers because of it. So the next two cards I pulled when I asked where was this leading, and I was so happy to see these. Divine Descent, and if we read the back of the card, it says, whenever and wherever there is a decline of religious practice in the world and wickedness becomes predominant, at the time I descend myself in order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the sacred law. I appear in every age. This card to me is really what I feel Jesus was trying to say, that these things that I have done, you shall do and greater. This concept that now the divine is descending not through a singular figure like the Buddha or Jesus or the Krishna in Hinduism, but that all of these archetypes, these spiritual energies, these ascended masters through time and space are coming in through us. The divine descension is us coming into our true form, our true higher light consciousness, and seeing the world through those eyes and then acting through that, which will change the world. And it says to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants. I hope I'm saying that right, as well as to reestablish sacred law. Sacred law will be reestablished. And then this last card I think is also beautiful. It says equal vision. And I think that is the summary of where we need to move toward. We need to see things from a place of true equality, true believing that everybody has a gift and a purpose and an ability to shine their sparkling light, whatever that is, whatever they came to do, in a way that helps the greater whole. And it says by virtue of transcendental knowledge, the wise see the same divine truth in all beings, from the wise and gentle priest to the cow, the elephant, the dog, or even the outcast dog eater. Wow. Outcast dog eater just makes me think of ice. I know I've certainly seen a lot of gentle priests videos where they're not being gentle any longer on social media, and they're going out and they're talking to protesters, or they're sending ice away from their churches in the middle of service day, and they're being strong and they're being firm like Jesus was in the temple when he said, this is wrong, this is against my Father's teachings, against my Father's desire for the human race. So we do need to get to equal vision and divine descent. And I think the most important thing is that, yes, we pray. We all use our own ways, whether it be Reiki or meditation or art healing or protest or writing poetry. There's a multitude of ways, helping your neighbors, doing good deeds on just as part of your day, saying something to cheer somebody up. Calling our senators and our House of Representative folks. There's a lot of different ways that we can show up right now, that we can show up in truth. And as we're doing that, we are part of the divine descent. It's the masses of us. They know they cannot outweigh and run down the masses of us. So the only way for this to change is for us to come together, for us to stand together. And I think it's happening right now in the sense that we, I'm trying to get these out of the sun so you can see them. It's happening in the sense right now that we're starting to see the power of the people, because the Constitution is about we the people, and now we're starting to see the power of the people. Those of us who are remembering, we must do it in peace. We must do it in unity. We must walk and hold hand with our brothers. I'm watching things and I'm seeing that people really don't want to be, they don't want to see bad of their neighbor. They want to live in harmony. They want to live in goodness. They want to live in wholeness. There is a greater drive in humanity to be unified, because that is our true divine plan, than there is to be separated. And there are many powers of lust and greed and power that their goal is to make us fight amongst ourselves, so that we forget who we truly are. And that's why I always hear the word remember, 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 the energy of remember, remember. Even when I do my spirit circles in the community, I say to people, remember who you are, remember, because that is actually the key to us moving forward. So let's close this reading by offering our own hearts. Let's open our own hearts and offer our own hearts. And let's ask divine intelligence, whatever you call it, however it shows up for you, to come in, to soothe our hearts, to make our hearts strong, and to bring us together. And let there be peace on earth. Amen.